Beatz, Beatz.
Hello everybody, this is the wonderful, beautiful Imani.
Hi.
Say hello, yes.
Hello everyone.
Yes, I would definitely suggest that you check out her radio show, which is...
My radio show, I have two of them. One is called Naga Talk, which you can find out when it's coming on if you come to my Facebook page and find me on Facebook. My name is Imani Inami. The second one I have is called The Cosmic Break. It comes on Mondays at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And I talk about just about everything. So if you like what I have to say here, I would definitely recommend you find me on Facebook and check out my radio show. One of the many reasons why I'm here today is to discuss my experience dating trans men with a lesbian history. Even though I identified as queer, I had like lesbian history.
So that actually what just makes me a little interested in, when you started to date a trans man, like how was that transition from dating predominantly women to dating, male identified people?
Well, the first trans man I dated was about, I want to say like 2.5 to 3 years ago was when it started. Well, I dated them before they were transitioning as well, so it was a whole process for them to announce to me that they were going to transition like midway through our relationship.
Like, did that have an effect on your relationship, like when he came out and said that?
Yeah, it had an effect because, I mean, a lot of just being like a human in this world with an ego makes you revert everything to yourself. And I feel like I approached it in a very selfish way initially and be like, well, why didn't you tell me before? How am I supposed to feel about this, blah, 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 instead of like my first reaction being to support him, which I felt like I should have done, So it did affect me in a way where initially I did have, just how I feel like just about everybody else does, have internal transphobia in terms of like me just not being totally okay with like whatever he wanted to do with himself and his life and his body, and me feeling like it had something to do with me at all, which essentially it didn't. But I really think that having that previous relationship with you, and you have already transitioned at the point where he told me that he wanted to transition, allowed me to have a reference point to go back to and have someone who even if I didn't talk to you directly about it, had like a place of like, oh, well, I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen this before. I have an idea of what's going to happen.
Okay. So when he said this, like what expectations were you like developing? Like, were you expecting like his temper to change, like his behavior, his demeanor, like?
Well, yes, I was expecting all those things to change just based off of, like I said, transphobia, like preconceived notions of what happens to men or what men do. So I was like expecting all these things, but when I started doing research on my own, and he was also very good in making sure I had resources and like links to go to, I understood like the negative implications that came along with me assuming that, masculine automatically equals like angry, or like masculine automatically equals like domineering, and those things they're not mutually exclusive.
I definitely think a lot of people have that misconception, because I've talked to a lot of guys and they're dating women, they were already in a relationship prior to the transition, and when they say they want to transition, the first thing a lot of them think is that they're going to become angry, they're going to become a completely different person. And I could say that, yeah, some people, they might change. That's just a fact. It's it's a turning point in someone's life. So yeah, things are going to start changing, but it doesn't mean it's going to change in a way that drives you apart.
Yeah.
If anything, it'll bring you closer, because a lot of guys, they transition and find that they feel more like themselves.
Yes.
They're living more of a true reality, and so they can express themselves more authentically towards you. So a lot of cases is really nothing to worry about, but I definitely understand the concern.
Yes.
It's a huge thing, because not only will you transition, as myself, if I was transitioning dating someone, they're transitioning with me, and that also means transitioning in the way that people perceive me in public. So that actually leads me to my next question. When he started transitioning and quote unquote passing, were there any noticeable differences in the way people responded to you in public?
Actually, yes. Before he transitioned, a lot of guys would completely like I feel like disrespect our relationship and would still come at me, still say whatever they wanted out of my mouth, still just completely disregard him as my partner. But as he got further along in his transition and started passing more, that completely ended. Like, men did not feel like they had the right to walk up to me and say whatever they wanted to me. They did not feel like they had the right to disrespect my space. And it just completely changed the way in which I had to deal with like masculine energy in the world, because I feel like men respect other men more than they do respect other like women.
Right. And I really think that goes back to a thing of men behaving as though men have ownership over women. Like, well, he's next to a woman, so she must belong to him, so I can't speak because that's his property. Like,
exactly.
They may not articulate it that way, but it's really how it plays out a lot of times. Did you, like, even within that relationship though, did you still have to make any adjustments to like how you thought about him?
Oh yeah, I had to make a lot of adjustments. One of the biggest things I had to do was pronouns.
How was that for you?
It was definitely a process. Like I said, I'd already gone through the process of like reworking using certain pronouns because I knew you, and I also knew other trans men within our community. So I'd already like navigated the whole pronoun thing.
Yeah, but it was like your partner.
Yeah, it was hard for somebody who I was living with every day to make sure I wasn't slipping up. And so I became very, very mindful of the pronouns I was using, the ways in which I would describe certain, like his body parts, all those things. I had to make a lot of internal adjustments, and also making sure that I was checking transphobia even when he wasn't around. You know, I didn't feel like just because he was around is when I should say something. Even when he wasn't present, I would still let people know, say he. Or like, making sure when people had like they thought it was okay to like say off the wall shit to me because he wasn't present. I was like, no. Not only is he my partner, but just as a human being, you have to respect what he wants to do, whatever. And so, it was really helpful to be able to find certain places where I felt like I could get support as a partner of someone who was transitioning, and really figuring out ways, like making sure in my mind when I even thought to say he. I wasn't saying she in my brain anymore. I was saying he in my brain so that it would naturally come out.
Yeah. So I heard you say you when he came out, you had to face some internalized transphobia. Did you also have to face some type of phobia that you may have had against men?
I think a lot of transphobia is rooted in misandry, which is like the flip side to misogyny. Most people don't even know the word misandry because we don't talk about the ways in which our community systematically like oppresses men in a particular type of way. So a lot of it was internalized misandry of just how I just felt that I kind of a little bit hated men in a particular type of way, mainly because of the feminist background that I had at the time, and how I felt that, all the things in the world are bad because men are bad and men are in charge. And so I assumed that him wanting to transition meant that he wanted to assume male privilege in society, and that was why he was doing it. I like the whole thing about assuming that he was going to be like angry or forceful or unpredictable has everything to do with misandry, and how automatically assuming that masculinity equals like anger, and just having to check myself on. I do felt like as he became more masculine, like he occupied space in a different way, and checking myself on allowing him to occupy space in those ways. And feminism teaches women that if men try to occupy any sort of space, that they're trying to oppress you, and that wasn't the case. He just was, as he transitioned, he just occupied space in a different way. When he walked into a room, he was treated a different way. Like even when we were in the room together, like his energy was different, meaning, and I felt that was mainly because he felt more confident and comfortable in himself, so he didn't shell himself up as much. He allowed himself to open up in a particular type of way, and initially I associated that with like male privilege,
wanting to dominate.
With wanting to dominate. And that wasn't the case. He just felt much better.
Yeah, I feel.
I think it's very important to create a particular space. I was looking for one of these, I didn't really find it, but to create a particular space for people who are partners of trans people to go and have a space where they can just outright talk, and maybe it can be a space that is just partners of trans people, where we are allowed to say, I'm feeling confused about this, I'm feeling angry about this.
It's completely okay to say you have feelings towards it. It's not like we're coming out and expecting our partners to not feel a certain way about it. It has an effect on you too. Yeah, so, definitely. I mean, I felt like a lot of me and a lot of my politics transition and change as my partner was transitioning and changing as I became open to this entire community of trans men, and I felt
not just responsibility to my partners, but to you, to my friends, to their friends, to all these amazing trans women that I was meeting, to support them in the best way that I could. So it's not just, you know, your partner next to you. You're being introduced into an entire community, and everything within you is going to have to change, and a lot of your politics are going to have to shift as well, which is why I feel like it's very important to make sure that there is a space that is created for partners of people who are transitioning to go and just be able to air out or give each other advice or tips, because I don't feel like I really had that, but I did have a lot of resources to ask people about or to look at things. But it would be nice to have like a, you know, a forum or something that I felt like it would have been really good to, because I was confused as to how to support my partner when they were experiencing like dysphoria or something like that. I didn't know what to say or that was something I really struggled with, and that's something I think that we struggle with in our relationship, was because I did not know ways in which to support them. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if to give that person space. And each person is different as to how they deal with things. But I do feel like there can be a template for like, if a person's feeling X, Y, and Z about like leaving the house today, like, you know,
don't aggravate it.
Yeah, don't aggravate it.
We can't tell you how to fix it. We can tell you how not to aggravate it.
Yeah, the best. Oh, and to all partners of trans people, like, stay in there. It's not something that you're gonna totally learn to be okay with in 2 hours. It's definitely a process.
Work together, open communication, always. That's anything. But
check your transphobia. Check it every day. Be open to being checked. Don't be offended when somebody wants to check you, and don't be afraid to ask questions to your partner or even like, you know, other trans people. Like, hey,
you can talk to me.
I need help.
It's fine.
You know, never be ashamed of like how you feel. Like, nobody's expecting you to be like the best. You know?
Imani, I want to thank you for doing this video with me.
Oh, of course. Thank you for asking me to be part of your video. I really appreciate it.
Because your talk show is the shit. Like, just saying.
Okay.
Get on that. Maybe another time you'll be here with us.
Yeah, hopefully.
So, I want to thank you for watching. Thanks for listening. Talk to y'all later. Peace.